I'm 72 years old. And the truth is, I have spent most of my life calling fear by a nicer name. I called it responsibility. I called it being practical. I called it being a good son, a good husband, a good father, a good employee. But now that I'm old enough to hear my own silence clearly, I know what it was. It was fear. Fear with clean clothes a mess. I suppose I always knew this day would come eventually. Uh, It is a pleasure to finally meet you, sir. And I'm telling you this because I don't have much time left to pretend anymore.
These days, my mornings are slow. Not slow like a lazy Sunday, slow like an engine that has been running too long. I wake up before the sun sometimes, not because I'm energetic, but because my body doesn't let me sleep the way it used to. The house is quiet. Even the walls feel tired. I make tea, I sit, I stare at nothing. And memories, they show up without being invited. Not the big memories people post about. Not weddings, not birthdays, not achievements. No, the memories that show up are the small ones. The moments when I could have chosen love and chose safety. The moments when I could have spoken and stayed quiet. The moments when I could have taken a risk and told myself I was being responsible. If you're younger, you might not understand what I mean yet, because in your 20s and 30s, fear doesn't look like fear. It looks like planning. It looks like, I should think this through. It looks like, not now, later. It looks like, I can't afford to mess up. And let me tell you something. Fear is patient. Fear doesn't rush you. It doesn't scream. It waits. It waits until you've made the same safe choice so many times that you forget you ever had another option. I didn't grow up calling it fear. I grew up in a house where fear was normal. My father didn't talk much. He wasn't cruel, but he wasn't warm either. He worked, he came home, he ate, he slept. He believed in duty like it was a religion. When I was a boy, I learned early what earned praise. Not laughter, not curiosity, obedience. If I did what I was told, I was a good boy. If I questioned things, I was becoming difficult. If I cried, I was weak. So I became quiet and careful. I watched other boys run around like they owned the world. I watched them climb trees, fall down, laugh, get up. I wanted to be like that. But every time I almost did something bold, I would hear my father's voice in my head. Don't be stupid. Think. Be careful. Don't embarrass yourself. And slowly, that voice became my own. By the time I was 20, I was already living like a man with something to lose. I didn't have money. I didn't have a family. I didn't have a career yet. But I acted like I had everything hanging by a thread. I took the safe job. It wasn't my dream, but it was stable. It came with a salary and a small sense of pride. My parents could tell the neighbors, our son works here. And I liked that. I won't lie. I liked the approval. I liked being seen as sensible. There was a girl back then. Her name was Sana. She wasn't loud. She didn't try to impress anyone. But when she laughed, it felt like sunlight. We met through a friend. We talked in small corners, at gatherings, at weddings. Nothing dramatic. Just talking. She asked me questions nobody asked me before. What do you want to do if nobody judged you? What would you do if you weren't scared? I remember how uncomfortable those questions made me. Not because they were rude, because they were honest. Sana wanted to study further. She wanted to travel. She wanted to build a life that belonged to her. She used to say, life is short. I used to smile at that. In my head, I would think, she's young. She thinks she's wise. But the truth is, she was right. She told me once, quietly, I don't want a life that feels like waiting. And I said the most responsible thing in the world. I said, we have to be realistic. Realistic. That word, it has ruined more lives than people realize. Because realistic is often just fear wearing a respectable suit. Sana didn't beg. She didn't fight. She just looked at me like she was finally seeing me clearly. And she said, "You're not living. You're preparing to live." We stayed in touch for a while after that. Then less, then not at all. One day, I heard she moved abroad with her brother's help. Later, I heard she married someone there. I remember sitting in my office after hearing that. The ceiling fan was spinning above me like always, the same old papers on my desk, the same old tea stain on the corner, and I felt something, but I didn't know what to call it. It wasn't heartbreak in the movie sense. It wasn't tears and shouting. It was something quieter. It was like a door closing gently, and a part of me pretending it didn't matter. I told myself, good, she got what she wanted. And then I went back to work. That's how my life became. Something happened inside me, and I went back to work. Because work was safe. Work didn't require courage. Work didn't ask me to expose myself. Work didn't risk rejection. Work gave me a uniform, a routine, a reason to avoid looking too closely at my own heart. By 30, people called me successful. I had a decent position. I had respect. I married a woman my family approved of. Her name was Farah. She was kind. She was quiet, too. We were two careful people trying to build a careful life. At first, it felt fine. We bought furniture slowly. We saved money. We made plans. I became the man everyone trusted, the man who never takes chances, the man who thinks before speaking, the man who stays calm. People praised me for it. You're responsible. You're mature. You're not like others. And I held that praise like a trophy. I didn't realize it was also a cage. Farah used to ask me sometimes, "Can we go somewhere this weekend? Just us?" And I would say, "I'm tired," or "There's work," or "What's the need? We can go later." Later, that word again. Later became our whole marriage. Farah wanted small things, not expensive things. She wanted my attention, my presence. She wanted me to sit with her without looking at the clock. But I was always on the edge of leaving. Not physically, mentally. Always thinking about what needed to be done, what could go wrong, how to keep things stable. I thought that made me a good husband. I thought love was proven by providing, paying bills, fixing things, showing up at family events, keeping the house running. And yes, those things matter. But let me tell you something I learned too late. A person can live in a house with you and still feel alone. Farah started speaking less over the years. She stopped asking for weekend trips. She stopped dressing up the way she used to. She stopped sharing her thoughts like she once did. At the time, I thought it meant she had become mature, too. I thought, good, we are settled. I didn't see that she was slowly giving up. We had children, two, a son and a daughter. And I loved them, I truly did. But my love looked like rules. Study. Don't waste time. Be careful. Think about your future. I gave them safety like it was the greatest gift a father could give. I didn't give them warmth. Not enough. I was there, but I wasn't really there. I missed school events because of meetings. I missed small conversations because I was busy. When my son wanted to show me something he built, I would say, "Later, I'm working." When my daughter wanted to tell me about a boy she liked, I would say, "Focus on your studies." I thought I was protecting them, but what I was really doing was teaching them that I was not a safe place emotionally. I was a manager in my own home. I ran my family like a project. And the scary part is, people praised me for it. Neighbors used to say, "Your children are so well behaved." Yes, they were well behaved, but they weren't close to me. They didn't come to me with their fears, because my response was always, "Be responsible." That phrase, I handed it out like medicine. But it wasn't medicine. It was my fear being passed down. Years went by like that. No big disasters, just a quiet life. And a quiet life can look very successful from the outside. We bought a better house. We upgraded our furniture. We did what people do. But inside, something was slowly shrinking. My marriage became polite. Not cruel, not hostile, just polite. Farah and I would talk about groceries, bills, relatives. We stopped talking about dreams. We stopped touching each other casually. We stopped dressing up the way she used to. We became two people doing life side by side, not together. Sometimes, late at night, I would hear her crying softly, not loud enough to be noticed, not dramatic, just quiet tears. I would lie there pretending to sleep, because what do you do when someone cries and you don't know how to comfort them? I would tell myself, she's emotional, it'll pass. Fear makes you cold, not because you want to be cruel, but because feeling things feels dangerous. Then came the years of aging. My children grew up. They moved out. They built their own lives. I used to think I'd feel proud, and I did. But I also felt something else, a distance I didn't know how to cross. They called, yes. They visited on holidays, but they didn't talk to me like a friend. They talked to me like a duty, the same way I treated my father. And that's when I started understanding something painful. We repeat what we know.